What's going on, guys? Plastic Beach X3 back here with another One Piece video, and this time I'm going to be giving my reaction to the new ban list that just dropped today. The ban list goes into effect on July 28th, and it limited Whitebeard 9-drop, Marco Blocker, and Radbeam all to 1. So I have a few points that I want to go through in this video, just to give you my reaction and what I think about the ban list. So first up, my opinion, ban lists, emergency ban lists are really bad for a game. Ban lists show that research and development department at Bondi has not tested the game enough before printing the cards. It shows very bad things for the future of the game, meaning that they will probably print cards such as, Moby Dick, for example, that will just absolutely warp the game, and with just a minimal amount of testing by their R&D department, they could have figured that out. So it just shows that we're going to see some cards in the future that are probably going to get e-banned because they haven't tested them before printing them. You have to, cards like, Mystic Mine and stuff in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, how do you not know that these cards are going to be broken? And the fact that you're giving a precedent for e-ban lists shows that you don't really care if they're broken. They're just going to print them and then ban them, print them and then ban them. It's like, that doesn't help a healthy game. You're just putting players constantly on pressure that, this card might get banned at any point in time. I never know when. So that's one thing. And then, my opinion, they might be listening too much to player criticism rather than their own R&D department, if this is the case. Because, recently a lot of people have been complaining about the red cards on YouTube videos. So, I don't think it's much of a coincidence that they came out with this ban list super close to a bunch of videos being posted about how bad the red deck is. Which, listening to players is cool and all, but you have to admit that some players are not as competitive as others. It's just simple as that. The squeakiest wheel gets the most grease, as the common saying goes. People complaining about the format are not the ones that are topping multiple events. As much as I hate to say it, it's true. The people topping events are the people testing the format, not complaining about the format, not making YouTube videos about the format, rather than just, playing fun decks and cause the casual players to be upset. Which there's nothing wrong with being a casual player at all. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think for a competitive game and a competitive future in this game, it doesn't do any justice to just listen to casual players, especially whenever you're making a drastic change to the meta of a game. You should be looking at tops and results and insights into the meta from top tier players, not what people lose to at locals. And fair enough that Whitebeard has won a lot of events in Japan, it won a lot of events here, and Zoro has as well. But if you look at the specific cards they banned, those are the cards that people just complain about, rather than what is actually making the game bad. And honestly, nothing's making the game bad. You could have just let us go through Gen Con, let us go through until the next set, and nothing would have been bad. But either way, and then e-ban lists are, in general, bad for any game. If you look at the Pepe list, the ban list in Yu-Gi-Oh! That banned Pepe in February of 2016, it ruined a lot of people's investments. If you don't know about it, it was an e-ban list that banned 6 cards out of the Pepe deck that just got released. It ruined a lot of people's investments. It made a lot of really good players quit the game. It stopped a cool format from developing by overly hitting one deck just because, or just instead of just banning a problem card. There, it was Wavering Eyes. Here, it's Radbeam. You could just ban Radbeam, keep Whitebeard and Marco alive, and now we have a balanced Whitebeard deck, a more balanced Zoro deck, still pretty good, but more balanced Zoro deck, and we won't have to ruin the Whitebeard deck completely. It just screams lack of R&D testing to me, personally. E-ban lists also just hurt the competitive scene by creating a small window for testing and developing the meta. At least in Yu-Gi-Oh!, they used to give you a rough estimate for a month in which the ban list would release it, and then also give you a week until it was effective. Here, we had no idea this was coming, caught everyone by surprise. It shouldn't be that way. We should know when a ban list is coming so we can make the proper investments and liquidations before we just straight up tank the secondary market because people are in fear at all times that a good card could be limited at any time with no announcement. That's just a bad way of encouraging your players to invest in cards, honestly. Okay, so enough ranting about all that. Let's go into the actual list. In my opinions on the actual list, the 9-drop. First of all, not necessary. Card was good, but not broken. You can definitely play around it. The Whitebeard deck wants to play multiple 9-drops in a row, so you can plan accordingly, knowing that. Their deck is just too linear. The Whitebeard deck is, you pretty much just play a big guy, play a big guy, play a big guy, 9-drop, 9-drop, 9-drop. And, like, that's the game. So, knowing that, if your deck, that deck has 0 ceiling, you have to do that or you lose, pretty much. So if you have a deck that you're playing and has a higher ceiling, you can play around a bunch of things. You can pressure early to throw off the 9-beard curve. You can burn cards with 10-drop, Big Mom or 6-drop Law. You can set up just large guys, never swing with them until they take their last life and hit them big. Just play a bunch of blockers. I mean, the Whitebeard card was only broken because you could leave 1 Dawn up for Rad Beam. If Rad Beam doesn't exist to protect your life, then 9-drop doesn't really do that much if your opponent is playing correctly, establishing multiple large bodies, whittling down your hand throughout the game. So I just don't see how 9-drop was the right card to hit in the slightest. It also just randomly hurt Ace for no reason. And then going into the Marco blocker, I don't know why this card was hit at all. It was like kind of crazy in Whitebeard, but you can't even play it whenever you're curving 9-drops. It's cool to play on like 7 or 8 Dawn, but it demands a card every single time that you use it. So let's say that you use it. Now you're opening up your opponent to just hit 5, 5, 5, and that takes away the whole thing of like having a Whitebeard leader, a 6K leader. It takes away the whole benefit of that if you play the Marco and block with it. So like a lot of times they're not even blocking with it. They're just waiting for you to pop it. And like it's just there for the very, very, very last swing, which it's just a chopper at that point. Like and then in Zoro, it's okay, I guess. It makes yellow a lot better into Zoro because yellow like kind of straight up lose the blockers. But it's not like yellow was like bad anyway. And like it also again hurts the Ace deck, which is a cool ass deck that didn't even get to be developed yet with like all these cards, which is kind of a shame. And then we move into Rad Beam. Rad Beam's the only card I think that in the entire game, honestly, that they decided to get, that deserved to get hit. They could have just banned it and left the other 2 untouched, and it would have been a way better list than this one. But now it creates like a Saki 1-of in a deck that you got to get lucky to draw. It reminds me a lot of, Max C or Soul Charge whenever those cards were at 1. Whoever opens it, well, you opened it, you got it. You just get a way big advantage just off luckily opening your 1-of Saki card. So I just think it should have been banned, to be honest. And now this video is getting a little long, so I'm going to move into cards that they missed. If you justify the 9-beard limit, you have to justify the 10-drop Mom limit. The card is broken. No matter what people say about playing around it, you can say the same thing for 9-drop. As I said earlier, it's unfair for a lot of decks to play against. It's unfair for a lot of decks to play against the 10-drop, and it also allows the yellow player to win from a terrible position just based on chaining his 10-drops. So anything you can say about like, okay, well I can justify 9-beard because it's such a broken card that can chain it, well then you have to justify 10-drop because well yeah, it's easy to play around if you're like playing yellow or if you're playing red or something, but like otherwise it's broken against blue, against green, against purple, it's broken. So I don't understand that. Limiting 9-beard but also allowing 10-drop to roam around. It reminds me of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which one of the big reasons I quit Yu-Gi-Oh! Is because they would ban cards that had they had relevance in the meta, but they weren't absurdly broken. You could have just left them around, but instead they chose to ban them so that they can make room for the new cards. using the ban list as a power creep mechanism, and using the ban list as a money-making mechanism so that you'll buy the new set rather than just keep playing the old stuff. Other than that, Zoro, Nami, or anything from the Straw Hat engine could have been hit to directly address the Zoro leader rather than, just nuking Whitebeard and impliedly hitting Zoro. The Nami leader can be banned for all I care. I hate that card, and I hate that that deck exists. And honestly, really nothing needed to be banned besides Rad Beam. Going forward, expect to see a lot of Zoro. With that, expect to see a lot of Zoro because now Zoro is the best red deck and is still really, 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 really good. So, however, there are a lot of decks that lost to Beard but wins against Zoro. For example, Kuro. Kuro seems actually pretty decent with no Beard and a great matchup into Zoro and Law. I mean, it's possible. A lot of people make fun of that deck, but it actually does have a really good matchup into Zoro and Law. Law is probably going to gain a lot of popularity now that Beard is gone, and now that Red doesn't have the Marco. It's still checked by Fire Fist, so it probably won't be crazy, but it's still a tier 1 S tier deck. So, and then Katakuri is probably going to dominate a lot of locals. It's probably going to dominate a lot of regionals, top cuts, because it lost one of its worst matchups, Whitebeard. So, just making room for Yellow to prosper. And then, sadly, Rob Lucci and Mono Blue Croc lost a lot of playable value, in my opinion. They both had amazing Whitebeard matchups, which is justified bringing those two decks into a big tournament. But now that that's gone, you're going to be playing against a lot of Zoro, a lot of Law. Those decks cannot stack up to those two decks, so they lost a lot of playability, which is sad to see. But other than that, that's my discussion on the ban list. I know I ranted a lot, but I just wanted to get my opinion out there, and please feel free to comment and discuss with me what you think about the ban list, what could have been banned, and what you think we should do going forward. I'm not going to quit the game because of this or anything like that. I love this game. It's an awesome game, but there are some decisions that they could have made that were, think about it a little bit more. Otherwise, GG's. Make sure to subscribe to Plastic Beach X3, and peace out.